Did you know that the motorized vehicle are our city's biggest producers of carbon monoxide, oxide of sulfur, nitrogen oxide, ozone-forming substances, hydrocarbons and other fine particulates? The interior of the new car gives off formaldehyde and other contaminants which are linked to cancer, birth defects, brain and nerve damages, which can give long-term damages to our lungs and breathing passages. I'm your host Sonia Nepram, welcoming you back to our new episode of NE-enviro Footprints. Today we're going to talk about the benefits of cycling, that is, cycling for health, cycling for environment and cycling for economy. And for that, we need to take Manipur as a case study. According to 2001 Indian census, approximately 80% of the total population of Manipur lives in Imphal, a city that covers no more than 10% of the land in the entire state. The high-density population combined with an increased number of motorized vehicles and an acute lack of social and environmental policy has made the inhabitants realize that there is an urgent need of sustainable and alternative solutions.
It was never like this before the early 80s. Manipur was just like China, with cycle being the most popular mode for commutation. Since the early 80s, owning a cycle was a matter of pride and respect. Till the early 80s, cycles was the most preferred mode of commuting to work. From office goers to students and daily wage earners commute on cycles. Even lovers engaged in long pillion romantic rides in the city outskirts. The arrival of motorized two-wheelers after the 80s changed things, and it didn't get much time to flood the city and even the suburbs and rural areas. And now you can spot all varieties and makes, making the city noisy and polluted with their emission, contributing to global warming. Traffic jams are becoming common. Besides the inconvenience, this leads to direct exposure to black carbon being emitted in the atmosphere. Many health issues such as hypertension, diabetes, respiratory and cardiac have risen, with doctors linking it to exposure to carbon monoxide, nitrogen, sulfur and formaldehyde.
Do you think you can use the cycle as a mode of transportation, and do you think there's a benefit of cycling?
Yes, we can use cycling as a mode of transportation here in Imphal, that is in the valley portion, and it's easier to ride cycle in the crowded traffic. It saves lots of money because petrol price, gas, fuel, there is now it's very costly. So by riding cycle we can save a lot. And another thing is I can ride faster than other vehicles in a traffic, congested area.
Do you think of using cycle as a viable mode of transportation?
Yes, yes, definitely. Yes, it's the best mode of transportation.
So what do you think are the benefits of cycling?
Benefits, lots of benefits, but the best are it's good for the economy, for the government, economy for the people, not only the environment. It's the best. So it's not only for the health, but for the economy, for the people, for everything. I've been riding cycle for more than 2-3 decades, and still I'm enjoying.
So any kind of message you want to give to the youth about,
Yes, think of your health, not just of your health, but the economy of the place, the country. Go for the eco-environmental stuff like cycle, especially made out of bamboos. Yeah. And cheers to the noise pollution and air pollution.
Could you introduce yourself to us?
I'm from Japan.
So what do you think are the benefits of cycling?
Benefit is my health because it's sweat. If you riding 30 minutes like that, fast sweat. Japan public transportation is very costly, so I almost use bicycle without paying like such a money. If you buy like that one, you can use it forever. You can change the tires like that. But if you pay the public bus and the trains, like very costly, so I prefer to use it. It's a kind of bicycle.
Manipur as a whole and the crowded urbanized Imphal in particular is suffering from complete absence of public transport system. As a result, private buses for faraway places and for shorter distances is being served with diesel autos and or minivans, and for those who can afford resort to buying their cars or small bikes. While the government's forfeiting any role in public transport is ridiculous as it's been more than a decade, it is also amazing that they also do not play any role in regulating proper traffic except for some VIP areas and their movements. While a total revamping of the transport system is urgently called for, Manipur Cycle Club, which is propagating the use of cycles in both rural and urban setting, particularly in the plain area of Manipur, is considering Cycle on Rent or COR as a way to help people move in the city, semi-city and rural setting without being fully dependent on taxis and autos. The idea is not only to facilitate people reach their destinations and get their work done, but also provide a smoke-free, less traffic, less noise and less carbon option for commuters.
Our own initiative of bringing back the cycle on the road, making it visible by conducting critical mass every month. We at least 30, 40, sometimes 60 come together here of all ages, young, old. We have membership from across section of society, from different professions, and we have young girls riding cycles. We have very old people riding cycles. We have professors from the universities. We have human rights activists and all sorts of people out there together who are conscious about how things are developing in our society, how this economic situation that is deteriorating for the last few decades, the health situation that has been deteriorating, the environmental issues that are deteriorating. So this consciousness is across. But then we do also realize that there has been a lot of political instability in the state. The conflict that is going on in the state, particularly the tension between hill and valley regarding the integrity issue and the integration issue of the Naga in the hills, and also the cookie issues for Southern Hills. This has impacted our economy, the livelihood, day-to-day livelihood of poor people in particular, who now literally cannot afford going to the city for their livelihood, because one has to spend at least 40 to 50 rupees a day once you come out of the house. You cannot just walk away on the road because there is no space. There are frequent traffic jams here. So the popularity of cycle, then the ease with which people decide to take a cycle has become much more easier for people, because we have also made ourselves visible on the road that cycle is the right choice given the kind of economic, health and environmental issues that we are experiencing.
COR has 4 primary target groups, One is those people who come by buses, minivans from not so near places, 7 kilometers and beyond, who will necessarily need another carrier to take them to work, meet people, shop, etc. after taking a public transport such as a bus. This presently is being served by very noisy autos, jeeps, rickshaws, or they might just walk. Secondly, there are people who come by their cars or their bikes who are not allowed to enter certain areas in the city or prohibited entry to one-way system might opt for a cycle to enter those areas. The third set of people are those who does 1 to 7 kilometers of daily commuting for their work or classes. This category of people currently use a car, a bike, moped, autos, bus, rickshaw on a daily basis. This will constitute the most dirty category as they add to traffic congestion, noise and air pollution, and emits most carbon. Our key target will comprise this section. A person have to just hire a cycle to use the whole day or even for a week or a month depending on agreement with MCC. Another set of group are the tourists who can opt for a cycle to visit the places they desire. Long-distance pleasure trips by cycles are also a possibility, and for sure the government can promote Manipur as a viable cycle tourism spot. Rent a Cycle was launched in December 2014 under the flagship program of Manipur Cycle Club with the support of Kangla Fort Board. The initiative was flagged off by RK-NIMAI, consultant to the government of Manipur. This is to facilitate pilgrims and tourists who wants to cover nook and corner of this historically significant place. Cycles will be available with a fee at the Western Gate. This is the only space in Manipur restricted for any vehicles. As a way to help people to move around, Kangla MCC has introduced 15 bicycles, 2 child carriers and 2 rickshaws. Benefits of cycling are plenty that touches on health as a result of the exercise involved in pedaling, reduced air and noise pollution, reduction of environmental pollution and reduced carbon emission, mitigating climate change, income savings, reduction of traffic congestion, etc. Most of these are difficult to measure or quantify in financial terms. COR will serve all of the above purposes. Some observable benefits that one can foresee include income saving by those in lower income group by using cycles instead of autos or minivans. With COR, one will be able to move around in the area whole day at a very minimal fee. This will mean that a person who wants to go to the post office from his or her bus, scooter parking stand will spend more than half if he or she choose the current motor transport. If it means going to more than one destination will result in more savings, hiring a cycle also helps a person to reach the desired destination, unlike autos which just drops you on the road. For a person going to work or office by bike or scooter of about 10 to 20 kilometers per day and shifting or opting to use cycle instead will be able to save about 50 rupees a day, and if calculated in a month will be able to save about 1500 per month. The same person, in addition to helping reduce noise and air pollution, will be healthier and will save hard-earned money on doctors and medicine. For car users, the saving will increase manifold. For the state, the savings will be about Rs 2,000 saving into 1,000 cyclists into 12 months, 2.5 crore per year. It is in this context that a campaign for cycle was initiated by a group of youths calling themselves Manipur Cycle Club, having over 300 members. Since January 2011, Manipur Cycle Club has been an active body, and one of its major activities is organizing periodic bicycling event in Imphal called Critical Mass to create awareness in the community about the importance of using bicycles in congested cities.
It is well known that cycling improves the environment by reducing the CO2 emission and hazardous gases. It has lots of health benefits. It is the easiest way to fit the exercise in our daily life. It saves money, gets you fit, and is good for environment. So let's talk to Ramananda Wakhairapam, President of Manipur Cycle Club, who is working on the cycling agenda in Manipur. Welcome to our show, Talking Point. So what do you think? How are you using cycle as an agenda, as a mode of transport in this present scenario? What do you think about it?
I think you have said what you have to say about cycling, how cycling helps people in their health. But in India and also in Manipur, cycling used to be a common way of transport. People use cycles for going to schools, colleges, work, and different places. Going home to work, or maybe extracurricular activities, outdoor activities, recreational activities. But it has dwindled. The number of cycle users have dwindled, and statistics proves that also. And along with that, there's an increase of cars and bikes, and it's overcrowding our streets.
So you were talking about congestions in the present scenario. So what do you think about it, the condition, the challenges?
I think we all see it. We all witness it every day. We see the congestion. We see the congestion on the roads. The traffic jams, increasing traffic jams. Not only at one point it used to be at some of the major crossings around, but it's everywhere now. Wherever you go, there are jams. It's not just about jams. It's also about the air pollution. The air pollution that's happening is also the noise pollution. And that's a situation. And there are data also, of course, that speaks very clearly that the number of vehicles, cars, particularly cars and bikes, the available data shows that 2013, more than 1 lakh vehicles were added on the streets of Nepal. How do we address this? Is our concern? Is my concern, and it's a concern of our club, the Manipur Cycle Club. We are talking about why not go back to the past. Why can't we commute with our cycles, or maybe with rickshaws, or even walking?
Do you think cycle need to be reinvented, and do you think it can become a viable mode of transport in the future?
That's a very difficult question, in the sense that reinventing cycles will mean transforming the way we understand transport. But the problem is that our thinking, the thinking of our planners, people who design roads, people who design our streets, people who sit in the transport department or in the planning department, if you see the road, it's meant for cars. When they think about making roads, they think about cars. And transforming that mindset is the most important element when we talk about bringing cycles on the road, reinventing cycles, because then we have to redesign the streets, you have to redesign footpaths, you have to redesign the roads that you make, because it has now, to bring back cycles, we have to have proper space created for them. We find ourselves difficult to cycle on the streets of Imphal because they are meant for cars. We are asked to compete, cycle along with cars, fast-moving vehicles. We are not safe. So, which means we have to go back to the drawing board, redesign the streets, redesign our roads, so that we can cycle. And that's a big challenge. I think in some way we have succeeded in getting more cycles in Imphal, but it's not a big thing at all, because we want more people to cycle, a lot more people to cycle rather than cars. Automobile car companies opening their shops in Imphal. We see all of them around, and while at the same time, I think we saw only one cycle store open in the last couple of years, and that's really sad.
Also, I wanted to ask, as you are the president of Manipur Cycle Club, who's really working on the agenda of cycling, Manipur is a cycle city. So I wanted to ask, what made you actually start this organization? And at the same time, how did it happen and why?
a cumbersome thing. You have to park, you have to pay for it, you have to pay for your oil, and I'm not that rich. I don't have money for that. So I came up with this idea of cycling. I used to cycle when I was school days, but between that I didn't cycle. Of course, I don't own a vehicle, but then that was too cumbersome. So I shifted to cycling. Then I said, this is a great idea. This is why not do something about it so that more people cycle. How do we bring back cycle on the street? So it's more of that idea that helped me form the club along with friends who are like-minded people. We got together, we discussed. Let's say that they all agreed with the fact that it's crowding. It's crowded. The streets are crowding. It's polluting, and so we formed the club in 2009. So the idea is the idea of Imphal as a city of cycles. It used to be a city of cycles, I believe. Lots of people in the cycle sheds and schools, colleges, work, offices. They were full of cycles. They were cycle sheds. There are no cycle sheds anywhere now. If you go to DM College, if you go to Don Bosco where I studied, if you go to offices, there are no cycle sheds anymore. It used to be huge ones. So it used to be a city of cycles. The air used to be clean. There were no traffic jams like this, and no noise pollution. But now it is. So it's like going back, trying to get back cycling.
But from the day you have started this organization, let's say from 2009 till now, today as in 2015, do you think there has been a little bit of changes in terms of mass awareness, probably bringing back those past in the present?
So I think the awareness is there. In fact, awareness there even for people who drive cars. Some of my people whom I encountered when I talk to people, they all say, great idea, let's start cycling. But then there is a block. There can be mental block because it may, the cars gives you maybe more kick, or maybe it gives you the social status kick kind of thing. There is a barrier. That mental barrier, social barrier is there.
Has to break down.
And also because cycling is dangerous. So when you design a road, when you design a street, since it's not meant for cycling, it's it's dangerous for us to cycle. So I am pushed out. I'm pushed out from there. Anybody who walks or even to cycle, they are being forced to opt for a vehicle, and increasingly it's like that. We are finding it very difficult. And so we have started working on the policy level. It's not just about cycling. It means like going around and asking people to cycle, but we need to work at the policy level. So we have started working at the policy level. We have held conferences in Imphal around that. We are also tying up with other like-minded organizations in different parts of India. We have floated a group called the SUMNET, Sustainable Urban Mobility Network, where we are trying to influence the government policy on urban mobility. So in some ways we are doing that, and from the people who are manning the transport department as well as the planning department, I think that some of that sense have already come in. Cities which are already polluted, how do we bring back life to those cities? It's not just about going from your home, driving, going to your workplace, put up all the side glasses, have an air-conditioned car, air-conditioned office, and back again. That's not life. We're talking about like walking, for example, or cycling to your office in a very healthy environment, very less pollution, no noise, no traffic jam, that kind of thing. So a happy city, a livable city is what you're talking about. So linking up to climate change, of course, because we burn this petroleum or diesel, carbon emission, and therefore that's also one way of looking at reducing our carbon footprints. If you bring down your consumption of petroleum and its products, then you're contributing very positively to climate change. So that's one way of looking at it. but also looking at building or redeeming or mitigating at least some of the problems that we ourselves produce. And that's where the idea of building livable cities comes in. How do we make Imphal a more livable place? And that's where really I think that's the crux of the problem. How do we, for ourselves, when I grow old, when you grow old, or when our kids, what about our kids? Are they going to inherit a very polluted Imphal? So it's not just about cycling, it's linked to many other things, about waste generation, it's about cleaner rivers, having more greens forests around. So it's a whole thing. It's not just about cycling alone. But with cycling, you also become more aware of your own carbon footprint, or your own, as we say in our poster in our club. We say you're not stuck in a traffic jam. You are you are the traffic. So you become more sensitive when you start cycling. You start thinking about other people. The fact that I'm cycling is also because I think a lot about other people, so that I don't pollute them. I don't occupy big spaces with my car. What kind of place do we want to build? Is it a city where it's full of cars, crowded, noisy, traffic jams, very what do you call it? Unlivable. I don't know what unlivable means. Everything. Do we want to build a good, a nice, happy place to live in? And if you start thinking from that, then we will see. People will definitely put cars as traffic jams and pollution as one of the priorities. So if you want to do away with that, we have to get cycles on the road. We have to start walking. So it's about you and I. It's about everybody.
It's a pleasure to have you in our Talking Point segment, Ram. I have no words how to thank you, and for giving us a valuable insight to how to adopt cycling as a mode of transport, and cycling for health, cycling for economy, and cycling for a better life. So thank you. I hope we cycle again together.
Yes, we will do it.
Yeah. Cycling is an environment-friendly mode of transportation. It is silent and produces no emission, whereas motorized vehicles are noisy and its emission reduces air quality, adding on to global warming. Every time you cycle instead of driving, you significantly reduces emission of pollutants and toxic into our environment. There is an evidence that as a cyclist, you breathe in less pollution. Health expert also says that regular cycling can actually extend our life expectancy. So all the more reason to start cycling to improve our environment and health. So see you again in the next episode. Till then, happy cycling, cycling for health, cycling for environment, and cycle for life.